benefiting when the team wins, and is everybody in the team, do they have an identical vision? So if there's common vision and shared reward. If on the other hand, there are people who are insecure and they're wondering, you know what, if we win and I don't take enough wickets, then I'm not in the side anymore, so let me stay away, then you don't have the makings of a good team. And I remember doing an interview with Michael Holding once, many years ago, and I said, how did you four fast bowlers work together? I mean, surely there must have been competition there. Surely one morning you must have woken up and said, I pray, dear God, that Malcolm Marshall takes only 1 or 2 wickets when I take 6, so my position is strengthened within the side. And he said something very interesting. He said, we were always aware that we were playing for the West Indies. And therefore it didn't matter who took the wickets, as long as between us we took all 20. And that, if you can create that kind of atmosphere within the side, then you've got a great team where everyone are playing for each other. And that's why, are you complementing and helping each other? The 3 spin bowlers in India, you listen to their old stories, every time they took a wicket, they ran to each other because they want to share the joy with each other. Or maybe one had helped the other person set it up. Why do McGrath and Vaughan work so well? Why do Vas and Murali work so well? It's almost as if Vas retires, Murali will feel divorced. Wouldn't you? I'd love to see how Murali goes without Vas. Or how Vaughan goes without McGrath. I think that's happening very soon. Can you understand your role? The moment you know your role, you become very good at it. This guy who's riding up front in the Tour de France, he knows his role very well. And that's why he's able to be very good at his role. So can you understand your role? And therefore, is it better to be a small player in a winning team or a big star in a losing team? A couple of people I'd love to ask this question of. Sachin Tendulkar is one of them. But the person who will probably answer that question the best is Brian Lara. When Tendulkar won man of the match, player of the tournament at the 2003 World Cup, he said, I'd very gladly give this away to be having that small winner's medal with me. Because teams like to win. You want to be part of winning teams all the time. Look at someone like Brian Lara. How many of us would like to be a Brian Lara in life? In our own profession? Let's see, let's be honest. How many of us would like in our profession to hold every single record there is in the game? That surprises me. You don't want to be Lara? 375 not out, 400 not out, 501. You want to be a Sachin? How many matches have you won? You know, Brian Lara has another record that nobody is likely to match in the near future. Nobody has lost more test matches in the history of the test cricket than Brian Lara has. He holds every individual record, but nobody has lost more test matches in the history of cricket than Brian Lara has. What do you think he wants to be? The great joy of being part of a winning side which he's never going to have? Or you might have fleetingly once in a while? That's why it's so important to be part of a winning side. That's why I can't understand attrition when people leave big winning sides and try and smother themselves in small places. So what do good teams do? Always aware of the changes around them. Conversely, bad teams have no clue what the world is doing. Indian hockey is a great example of that. No clue. We won the world champions in 1975. Great side, won the World Cup in 1975. AstroTurf came in 76. 30 years later, it's still a strange animal to us. Good teams are always aware of what is happening around them. I think you could describe, I don't know the inside story, but I guess it would be a bit like that in the English World Cup winning rugby side. I mean, you've got to be very special not to win anything after winning the World Cup. Shouldn't you? I mean, you'd win something when you a couple of South Africans in front of you are laughing, so I changed the topic. Can you stay agile? No, someone else laughed, there's another South African there. Can you stay agile and flexible and respond to change? Good teams are always creating these scenarios. They know what's coming. Constantly upgrade skills. I suspect the last 2 points are what's going wrong with India and South Africa. We've grown up in one atmosphere where you play on certain kind of pitches, you play against certain kind of bowlers, not aware or are unwilling to accept that you're going on a tour, everything's going to be different. Are you constantly upgrading your skills? And that is why you learn to appreciate someone like a Sunil Gavaskar. Or you learn to appreciate someone like a Kapil Dev. Now, before a Gavaskar came, before a Kapil Dev came along, there were 2 theories in Indian cricket. One is that Indians can't play fast bowling, and 2, that Indians can't bowl fast. So can you imagine the baggage that these 2 were carrying? Sunil Gavaskar played ordinary medium paces all his life in domestic cricket, yet scored runs against the quickest. Was he constantly upgrading his skills? Kapil Dev was bowling all his life on dead, flat wickets. Can you imagine? Would you want to be a Kapil Dev today? There I am, this big fast bowler, and you know what? I'm going to bowl all my life on ankle high pitches. How exciting is that to get up every morning? But are you upgrading your skills, learning to bowl even in those conditions all the time? That's what good teams and good players do. Constantly upgrade your skills. Can you analyze even in good times? This is a tricky one. How many of you do that? How many of you have lost some time in life, somewhere? Maybe not met a target, maybe had a bad year. Is there anyone in this room who's lost some time in life? I can put my hand up 5 times. Somewhere in life, what do you do if you lose? I'm sure you spend the next couple of days, you go back home and you say, why the hell did I lose? What did I do wrong? Would you do that? If you win, what would you do? Would you ever go back and say, why the hell did I win? Listen, are you wearing HSBC England shirt? HSBC England? You want to throw something at me? No, it's okay. Okay. If you're wearing HSBC India, you might want to throw something at me as well. How many of you go home on a good day when you won, you got your target and say, why the hell did I win? And that's what psychologists are saying now. Just as you analyze in the bad times, analyze in the good times as well. Before you hit that glass bottle of beer, which you tend to do first when you win or open a bottle of champagne, just sit quietly for 5 minutes and say, why did I win? And maybe there's a pattern to winning. Maybe there's something you're doing right all the time. Maybe there's a little template. Good teams analyze winning as much as they analyze losing. And then they ask themselves, why are we winning? Is there a pattern to our winning? Can we do things consistently that allow us to win more often? And it's interesting. I mean, I've been to similar situations as well. When you won, you just gloat. When you lose, you try to start to say, why the hell did I lose? What else do good teams do? There's one other thing good teams do, is to respect competition. If you don't respect competition, it's a recipe for disaster. That's why upsets happen. Why should world number 1 lose to world number 132 unless he's got a torn groin muscle? Very often because you don't respect opposition. That's when upsets happen in life. So here are a few qualities of good teams. I've got just a couple of slides now on leadership, because I'd like to believe that a lot of people in this room are either leaders or well on the way to becoming leaders. How many in this room don't want to become leaders? Anybody in this room at all? I'll tell you a story from HSBC itself. We're doing some work with this, promoted to officer level and given a little team to run. I said, next day morning he knocked on my door and said, why have you given me this promotion? My life was so good, why are you destroying my life? How many of you understand that story? He said, I was so happy. Why do you want to give me this role? And he actually turned it down. Head of HSBC Calcutta told me the story. So you get people like those as well. But I doubt if too many of those will be in this room. So what's the role of a leader? Can you create a vision for your team? A lot of us are very good at creating a vision. That's what they say about India. A lot of us in India, we've got fantastic vision, we've got great ability to create strategic plans. And somebody once told me, and we're going to meet somebody later this evening, says, if I want a wonderful strategic plan, HSBC India will deliver it in the shortest possible time and give me the best possible plan. Now, implementing that and actually going out and doing it, now we won't talk about that. It's a different story. So you don't only need to create the vision, you need to implement the vision, you need to communicate the vision. Otherwise, if you can't communicate the vision, you're like a coach who can bowl beautifully himself but can never teach you how to bowl. Or like maths teachers that you all had at school, who could solve every problem in the book but never could teach us how to do it. How many of us are maths teachers in this book who could solve every problem, never taught us how to do it? Can we create the vision, but can we communicate the vision? That's equally important. It's not much good sitting in a fancy hotel or sitting in a fancy room creating a vision. The person on the field who's got to implement the vision doesn't know about it. I mean, there's a bank in India that said, we will open an account before the coffee grows cold. Doesn't matter who. It's a lovely line, isn't it? But what if the person who's opening the account doesn't know that? He or she is probably going to have his or her coffee while the guest is waiting, right? It's important to communicate that vision all the way down. Can you create and can you communicate the vision? I suspect at the moment that's what might be happening with Greg Chappell. I suspect, I'm not sure to be honest. Can you be a good listener? Because you don't know where the next big idea is going to come from. All good leaders are good listeners. Because you never know, as I said, where the next big one's coming from. Your 14th man could suddenly throw up a great idea at you. But are you willing to accept? Is your state of mind good enough for you to listen to him? Or are you going to say, what do you know? You're not even good enough to be in the level. You're cutting off a potential source of ideas. Can you look for shining eyes? Every time a leader demands performance, a leader demands something difficult, two kinds of people present themselves. The first are those that put up their hands and say, I'll do it. The second are those that say, I just nip around the corner and come back in a minute, hoping that the topic changes by the time they come back. Have you seen people like those? You know, we're doing something big. Now I'll just come. We come back, how the topics change. Oh, good, don't worry about that anymore. They're shutting the door on their own future. That's why people like Rahul Dravid, for example, so popular within the side. India went through a phase where we had wicket keepers who were not scoring runs. What do you do if your wicket keeper doesn't score runs? You find a guy who's scoring runs to keep wickets, right? And one guy put his hand up and said, I'll do it. And Rahul Dravid looked pitifully inadequate as a wicketkeeper. He improved as he went along. But it takes a very proud man to accept that inadequacy and still go out onto the ground. Because the team requires you to play that role. Captains are looking for people who will play that kind of role if it comes to it. Ideally, you don't want to, but you must. Can leaders build trust? Captains sometimes have to ask guys to go out and bat as pinch hitters. Can the pinch hitter who's going out to bat know that even if he fails, he's still got his place in the side? Or is he going out to bat and saying, yeah, you know what, this guy doesn't like me, so he sent me out to score 25 and 10 balls, and if I fail, it'll give him a chance to drop me. So let's see how he drops me. I'll go as pinch hitter and score 10 in 45 balls. Not much good. We're doing a program called Master Strokes a couple of years ago, where we had top corporate leaders and top sportsmen on the same program discussing the same issues. And this whole issue of trust in the leader came up, and Saurav Ganguly was on that program. He was enjoying a big high at that point. And he said one of the qualities that a leader must have is even if he makes a mistake, his team must believe that he got it wrong while trying to be right. He said that is the trust a leader must have in his team. That even if I'm wrong, my team knows I went wrong in trying to be right. And that the team must know that everything I do is for the benefit of the side. And even if I make a mistake, therefore, it's in trying to be right. And I thought that's a great line, which is what leaders need to create. Build trust through action and communication. And can you empower people to act? The worst teams in the world are single performer teams. We had a problem like that in the late 90s when we had one match winner in our side. And when Tendulkar was doing well, we had the best captain in the world, we had the best coach in the world, we had everything best. When actually we should be ringing alarm bells at that point. Like, what if he fails? And sure as ever, the odd day when he failed, India didn't do well. Same thing happened to the Bulls. A lot of you follow basketball. Some of you, for a long time, Michael Jordan was the best player in the world, but the Bulls weren't winning anything at all. And they then worked out that the problem was that everybody in the team was so much in awe of Jordan that they thought their job was to throw the ball to Jordan and say, my job is done. Like Sri Lankan captains do with Murli. Throw the ball to Murli, my job is done. Yeah, Murli is going to bowl for 3 days now. What if he's not there? And they therefore said that Jordan will move away from the ball. It's a strategy that's outlined. You can read it beautifully in a book called Sacred Hoops by Phil Jackson, who was coach of the Bulls for a long time. I think now coach of the Lakers. He said the idea was that Jordan will move away from the ball as much as possible and create opportunities for everybody else. But having created opportunities, the rest of the team had to be empowered to win. If the other guy said, wow man, I've got a free roll, but now how the hell do I put the ball in the basket? Then that's not much good. So can you empower people to act? And that's why if you see in the orchestra, what's the conductor doing? He's the only person not playing an instrument. That's what good captains do. They empower everybody else. And I guess as leaders, we all need to do that at some point. Sorry, you all need to do that at some point. Because I work in a 2-member organization of which I'm not the leader. The leader's sitting somewhere here. I'm trying to find her and smile at her from time to time, but I can't find her. Can you motivate people? It's how you present a challenge. Sometimes you can present a challenge as a disaster. Or sometimes you can present a challenge as an opportunity. It's like you're making a test debut and going into bat at 10 for 4. There's two ways of looking at it, isn't it? One way of looking at it is, why the hell me? At 10 for 4, top 4 batsmen can't score, and why did it have to be me? My test debut, 270 for 4, I could have walked in, got a nice 60 not out before the declaration came, would have been a nice debut. The other way of looking at it is, wow, I'll never get a better chance in life than this. If I can score a 10 for 4, then this is the greatest opportunity of my life. It's up to a leader to present situations like these, either as a challenge or as saying, okay, you go out and do what you can. So motivate people by offering opportunities all the time, by packaging challenges as opportunities, because every challenge is an opportunity. And that's where the best players in the world do very well. Ravi Shastri told me this story once. He said India were not doing well in Pakistan 82-83, and Gavaskar came up to him and said, "You're opening tomorrow." And he said, "Thank you." He said, "If I can score runs against this Pakistan attack in these conditions, then I'm keen." He said, most people would have thought, the openers are not getting runs. Imran Khan needs more wickets to take, so he's putting my name forward. That would have been called the Dilip Doshi syndrome in our cricket. Imran took 40 wickets in that series, 10 of which were Dilip Doshi. They said, and I'm a great admirer of Dilip Doshi, the bowler, but they said at the end of the series there wasn't a red mark on his bat. I understood him very well because I played as a very young kid in my school team, and at the end of the first season I scored 1 run. Luckily things got better from there on. Can leaders draw from diverse strengths? You must have a Sehwag in your side, you must have a Rahul Dravid in your side, and you must have a Harbhajan in your side. Can you draw from those strengths? Otherwise, everyone's the same.